Okay, that says we're live. So let me do at here. No, at here. Chat room, let us know if you can see and hear us. And chat right here. There we go. Yes, send to now.
Hey, look, the AIE Guild is live.
Yay.
Hey, them.
Oh, yay. All right, we look good. It's quiet. Too quiet. There we go. All right.
Mute that.
Mute. Yeah, exactly. Mute that. Mute this. Mute that. Mute them.
Mute that guy in particular.
Exactly.
Let's see.
Double
Turn that
mute.
down, but I should still hear you.
All right.
Good.
Yay. All right. Let's get this row on the show on the road. All right.
That's Sunday during Crit Hit, honey.
Yeah, I know. All right.
Yes,
Going.
I'll move the camera over here. I get the notes here. Good.
I see Seema. Yay, Seema can see in here. Thank you, Seema, for confirmation that we exist in the virtual world.
Yay!
All right.
Not screaming into the void this time.
That was Wednesday. Anyway, going live in 5, 4, 3. On this episode of the AIE Podcast.
Announcing the Guild News blog. What is it? The 90s?
Yes.
You're right. Season 1 is almost here. Already?
We have a mini raid wrap-up.
It's summertime in Risa again.
Guest still not found. So let's talk to ourselves.
All that and more coming up right now.
Yay!
Bringing you the latest news from the AIE gaming community from planet Earth and beyond. This is the AIE Podcast.
Welcome to episode 406 of the podcast celebrating you, the Alia Iacta Est gaming community. The Die Has Been podcast. This is Tetsemi. To my right and 2 states over is Mewcow.
Greetings, guildies, and all those guests have been disappearing. It's like it's the summer and people are doing things and busy. That's weird.
Exactly. And to my left and upstairs is McCullough.
Hi guys, there's strawberry pie, peach cobbler, and maybe even a pina colada cake in the guild kitchen. What can I say? It's summertime and I'm baking.
I take it that's coming from future you because none of those things currently exist in the guild kitchen, but
Okay,
they better be.
There are 2 pounds of strawberries in there. There are multiple peaches, and your best friend's birthday is next weekend, so you know dang well there's going to be a pina colada cake.
All right, as long as we're not tempting fate with the upside down cake that never comes out correctly.
Oh my gosh, anyways.
That thing's frustrating. If anyone has any hints or tips on how to make a pineapple upside down cake actually come out correctly out of the tin when you've baked it in, let us know. All right.
Well, yeah, without large amounts of cussing, because you can butter the pan, but it's already buttered. The problem is the bottom, and that's what's sticky. It doesn't need more butter, Seema.
It always needs more butter. I trust
The
Seema.
problem is it's the bottom that has the layer of butter. That's the sticky part.
I know. That's why you need more butter. Anyway, this week we are joined by special guests, us, who are here to talk to us about all the things in AIE. So welcome us.
How much time do we have to talk about all the things?
All the things.
I don't
know.
We have
I
all
think
the
Seema and I
time.
are now going to make this a baking show. So change of plans, guys. Seema, come on here. We're going to talk some baking because I want to hear about this more butter plan. I like butter. Our
More
house
butter.
is built on butter.
Yeah.
Oh.
As are my hips.
All right. Well, we'll be digging into what we've been up to shortly. But first, let's cover this week's news.
AIE News.
All right. And as mentioned in the intro, we have on non-cod podcast weeks, there will be a guild activities and guild news blog up on the AIE guild page. Throwback to the 90s. No, I'm just kidding. It will be published under the community section of the webpage. Yes, we actually have sections on the webpage. Links are in the show notes. Format will be very similar to the show notes. We just try and give you guild activities and stuff so you can stay up to date with what's going on in between podcast episodes.
Absolutely. And guys, you wonder where nobody's logging into their RPG or their, RPGs right now? Well, that's because Diablo 4 is going on. The AIE clan has been active since day one and has grown to 118 members. Many have obtained levels beyond 60 and are actively engaging in the highest world difficulty currently available, Torment World Tier 4. Members have been active in Discord voice and in-game chat, organizing activities from simple leveling, Altar of Lilith hunts, world bosses, hell tides, and more. If you have any questions or like to join the clan, please check with our Saviors of Sanctuary in the AIE public Discord channel at Diablo. Season 1 for the game is projected to start soon in either mid or late July. Some quality of life updates are also already in works based on community feedback. Developers are responding to and releasing news to the community. Make sure you stay informed by visiting the official site's news section, diablo4.blizzard.com. Look for news. Some resources for those just starting out. News and all kinds of resources, including builds, are at maxroll.gg/D4. An interactive map to help you keep track of your renown is at mapgenie.io/Diablo-4/the-map/sanctuary. For those mystery chests and the world event, go to helltides.com. And a Discord tracker for the world bosses, alerts, etc. is at discords.gg/Diablo4. By the way, those are all GG as in golf. I do apologize for my bad pronunciation.
GG, good
Yeah.
job.
Yep.
There we go.
It is funny to log in for raid night and look over and you see this wall of D's on the Battle.net launcher.
Yep.
So yeah, that's where everyone's been. It's like, you haven't been showing it for raid lately. Oh, there you are. So,
Exactly.
yeah, speaking of WoW and raiding and all that kind of other stuff, if you're trying to get your raid characters up to max level, the Winds of Sanctuary event is going on until the 13th of July. And this week is Dark Moon Fair, which means you get to do the stacking, which is a lot of fun. And essentially, you do a dungeon's probably like 2 levels at this point.
Let me yank that out of there. She did confirm it does stack.
Yeah, they do stack. I know that's always a big deal when they happen to line up on each other. So you can basically just go through dungeons and you'll just level through stuff and be at max level real fast.
There we go. Fix. Sorry.
It's a great time to level alts. Return to the game just in time for the Fractures of Time content event, which is 10.1.5, and it goes live July 11th. Could not be sooner because I don't know. It's been a good patch, but it's been like quiet. I don't know if it's only Diablo's fault, but I don't know. It just feels like the world bosses and the world events and the rare bosses, like the first few days, yeah, everyone was jumping on them, and after that, like
it's summer. It's summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's not enough to get everyone's attention. But maybe the new patch will, because it has a new mega dungeon, which is happens to be timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff, apparently. And Warlock pet changes. I believe they are getting rid of the Observer. Is it called the Observer?
Believe
the
so.
floaty dude.
Yep.
Yeah, the little floaty dude. Yeah, they're getting rid of that, unfortunately. But because of that, they're starting to add skins to the demons that are left over. So it'll be it's kind of one of those, I guess a lot of people don't use the Observer, so they said, you know what, bye. They are reworking mages, and many other quality of life improvements are coming. The biggest one probably be that trading items of gold will now work cross-server, which is just insane. That's been a big headache in raids, especially. It's like, oh, I didn't bring a flask. Oh, I have 1,500 of them. Oh, you're on different servers. Sorry.
Yep.
So it's always been an interesting problem. All allied races will now be unlocked, so you don't have to do any work at all. Just show up. The Gusty Tail can't wait to level a Kiltiran Druid.
Yep.
Which, I don't know. Those guys just creep me out. It's just that weird bony wood stuff. Like, ugh.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's I have a Kultiran Druid and I love it. Just big bear Druid.
Also, as we mentioned, Dark Moon Fair is up this week, so you can get some easy profession quests and XP and rep buff for riding the carousel or roller coaster. So you don't just have to spin in a circle; you can run around on a roller coaster. These buffs do stack with the Winds of Sanctuary buff. There are also things to do at the fair that count towards trading post goals if you don't already have. Oh, actually, it just started the new month, so great. You can get the new stuff in. Let's see. Of course, when fishing, you can get red and blue fish heads, which look ridiculous, especially on druids in their druid forms, because it's just they forget druid forms. Like, oh yeah, druid forms. I guess we haven't put in the right placement for this thing. So yeah, just fish heads sticking in weird directions, kind of like how the wings work.
Fish heads all the way down. Got it.
Yes, very much so. But that's apparently Gusty's favorite thing. So
Of course it is.
Friday, AIE Horde Raid is entering the Alt Raid progression phase and downed 2 more heroic bosses. They have more people hitting KSM all the time, which is the Mythic Plus whatever, get your certain level of stuff in Mythic Plus dungeons. I forget what the actual thing stands for. KSM, but yeah. It's just become an acronym at this point. Kitty Aggro is now ahead of the curve, so congrats there. They got their Sarkareth kill area this week. Congrats to the team. There are 2 more teams knocking on the AOTC door that likely won't be too far behind. Meanwhile, Hellfroze overtook down 2 more heroic bosses, putting them at 4 of 8 heroic. Attendance was again high with more than 25 people participating. How did you pull them away from Diablo?
That's impressive. Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Gusty's team, better late than never, is very close to their ahead of the curve achievement, and fingers crossed with DPS 3% harder on Monday against Heroic Sarkareth. Alliance team, so let's go skating, is also battling who they call Snarky Breath.
Yep.
He breathes more. Meanwhile, New Braid cleared 7 of 9 bosses on normal Avarice Saturday and took a swipe at the Echo of Neltharion. Way to go, New Braid!
Good job, noobs.
Yep.
That's when things get interesting.
Exactly. Yep. And in WoW Classic, Trial of the Crusader is open. We have been in the dungeon, but not the raid. The raid leader is recovering from surgery currently, hoping to hit it by the 14th of July. Yes, and speedy recovery to the raid leader. The Midsummer Fire Festival is ongoing until the 3rd of July. We're all wishing we had the Joyous Journeys buff for our alts, but beyond that, Classic remains fun.
Excellent. And in SOTOR news, in game news, the SOTOR dev team is moving from Bioware to Broadsword. AE will remain in the publisher, and Broadsword will run it. The relationship with Lucasfilm Gaming will remain the same. Right now, it seems like there will be minimal disruption to the game. Fingers crossed. But if you'd like to know more, hop into the SOTOR channel. Guess what, guys? They have opinions. And knowing Max and Seema, they probably talked about it on the Escape podcast.
They did.
Excellent. All right. So, guys, go listen to the Escape podcast. If you're an AE, you probably already are. Congrats to Get Some Fun, to our Get Some Fun Flyers, who had an unprecedented night of wins this week. In Machete's Immortal words, they own the skies. A few upcoming dates. Narshadar Night Life is on July 11th. 7.3.1, End of Summer. 7.4, the start of the holidays.
Over in ESO, they've been spending some time running dungeons, level up the new Arcanists, or Arcanists, however they say it in that game.
Yep.
And checking out the new zones that were part of the Necrom chapter release. They are working on trials again and are having a lot of fun doing so, even though they usually have less than 12 people. It's hard mode. You gotta do the hard mode.
Yep.
Things that are planned are zone clears, trials if possible, and hanging out while playing Tales of Tribute.
Yep. And the Tales of Tribute tournament, good lord, I couldn't get the extra T out of there, is ongoing. We don't have week 2's update yet, but it will go into the blog post when we get it. Also, as Corsair reminds us, there's a bug in WoW Classic that if you jump during a crowd control effect, it crashes the game. So don't jump.
Jeez.
Which is hard not to do in WoW. Like, that's your default thing, is to jump. Everyone's crisscross.
I mean, There's some crowd. I mean, it's the newer WoW, but there's some crowd control that you have to jump to get rid of. So
Yeah, exactly. Just odd. All right.
Yeah, definitely is not ideal.
No. But in Final Fantasy XIV, Make It Rain MGP event is going on until July 23rd. They are running the Jackpot FC buffs every day with Jackpot 3s running on Saturdays. So if you are playing it, definitely log in Saturdays and take advantage of those buffs. We are putting the FC Workshop to use by building some of the special housing exteriors. Donations can be made by going to the FC Workshop for Crafter XP. Also, in the future, if anyone wants any of those exteriors crafted for their personal houses, they need but ask. Donate the materials, of course. Jess is working on unlocking all the different exteriors. For now, they have the Mog Walls, eatery, outfitters, merchants, traders, half-timbered, arms suppliers, and Shirogane Castle walls done.
Yeah, and there's also, just as a quick reminder, the Make It Rain event does have a new little bit of a quest line that gives you a pet. So make sure you don't miss out on that.
Excellent. All right. And in STO news, it's summer, and that means one thing in STO. The Rise of Summer event has started. It runs from 6/28 to 6/28. Sorry, for 7/28, and rewards the Hyperion Intel Battlecruiser T6 that was first seen on lower decks. There's also a new ground-based set on the Ren Fair episode of Strange New Worlds that includes a special sword, kit module, and a shield that reflects incoming damage. Fleet Action Report is celebrating their 3rd anniversary. Congrats, folks, on 7/20. They'll be running their traditional PvP celebration starting at 10 p.m. that same day. They'll be looking for players willing to celebrate. There'll be ship and ground PvP and perhaps shuttle PvP as well. Again, that is July 20th. If you'd like to participate, please let them know. They'd like at least 7 players to join them and to give them 2 full teams of 5 players. Factions don't matter, and level really doesn't matter either.
But I actually spent a good amount of time last night playing in Ryza, so it's an interesting little event.
Excellent.
But we'll talk about that later. In Guild Wars 2 news, they have announced that there is Guild Wars 2 Secrets of the Obscured, a new, I believe they're calling it an expansion. I think they're calling it an expansion. They're getting really weird and wishy-washy with what they call things nowadays. But I guess maybe this is an actual expansion, 4th expansion for Guild Wars 2. This will be after the End of Dragons. But that apparently is launching August 22nd. So if we don't have enough coming this summer to play. So the highlights is that the sky scale amount will be easier to get, because holy cow, that thing took forever to get. There will be 2 new zones. Elite specialization weapons can be used on any spec, which is going to be interesting. Because right now it's kind of like Final Fantasy XIV in that it's tied, the weapon's tied to whatever spec you're on, so you can't mix it up. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. All classes are going to get 1 new weapon and 2 new zones to start. Lots of flying, apparently. And apparently more, of course, as usually comes with expansions.
Wasn't there something about a polearm being introduced, or a possibility of a polearm being introduced in Guild Wars 2?
It could be. I mean, if they're going to be giving every class a new weapon, that they're going to need to add some new weapon types. So,
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
That wouldn't surprise me.
All right. And in Lotro news, we had an update that was focused on one of the sources of lag, the soundtrack to Update 32. Not the same thing. Let me back up. They had an update that was focused on the sound of the lag. Period.
Okay.
The soundtrack to Update 32, composed by Bill Champagne, is now on the Lord of the Rings Online YouTube page. Redeem code LOTRO MTGO 2023 in the in-game store by 1 p.m. Eastern on July 5th to receive. All are 1 per account, and you get Samwise Gamgee, Loyal Attendant Property Guard, Samwise's portrait frame, a writing skill, and a universal toolkit. This is to celebrate Middle-earth in Magic the Gathering Online. Side note,
that makes sense.
the code is also usable in the Magic the Gathering Online site as well.
Excellent. All right. Now that string of letters makes more sense, because right then, it looked like what happens when I ask you for what's our password for this.
Right?
Literally.
Pretty much, yep. All right. Well, and with all that, let's go around the table and find out what we have been up to. So, we're going to start. Since you just got out of game, why don't you regale us with your near-death experience?
Oh no, okay. So, in the Star Wars RPG, Final Fantasy games, it's really hard to die, right?
Wait, it's not Final Fantasy, it's Foundry?
Final Fantasy Flight, yeah,
Fantasy Flight.
Fantasy Flight games, FFG. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, darling. Yes. Really, I've been playing this game for 3 years.
It's tough,
anyway,
though. It's too close to Final Fantasy 14.
It is. So it's really hard to die. It's almost impossible to die, in fact, which is great. I mean, you defeat your foes, and, when your foes go down to 0 health, they're dead, or 0 strain, they're incapacitated, but dying doesn't really happen. There's one way it can happen. So, in the game, you have a crit chart. Every time you get crit, there's a chance of something bad happening. Now, those crits need to be healed off. It's fine. And it goes from 1 to 60, I believe. Every time you get critted, you kind of keep that. It ups your chance of getting a bad injury. There are certain creatures you can fight. If they get additional advantages, like if you get 6 advantages, then they get plus 60 to your crit. Well, we're in a dark Sith temple. We knew something was there. It has its attention on my character because she just can't stop touching things using the Force, and she's a very sensy Force user. So we're fighting this thing in this temple. It's made of darkness and shadows, and no matter what's happening, it's really focused on my character. It gets her. It crits. Well, I don't take that much damage. It's actually not bad. But then the crit rating it took, let it do the exact same attack again. That's what the crit was.
That's not
so
good.
it did it again. And that included more crits.
Oh, no.
It had 6 advantages, so it added plus 60. And I rolled 150, and I rolled 155. 155 is insta-death.
Oh, that's not good.
So our DM's like, okay, you guys can spend all your light side points. And if somebody can heal her by the end of the next round, because the creature went last in the round, you can save her. Because we've done this before. And I'm kind of numb at this point. I'm like, I didn't even dawn on me, what happened. I saw the 155 roll, my jaw went slack. I'm like, okay. And normally bad things happen in a game, especially to other players or myself. I go to fight flight mode. I get very anxious. No, I was strangely calm. And then we realized there was something wrong, and I had a plus 10 to my that I shouldn't have had. So it was only 145. Now, 145 is if you don't get this character healed by the end of the round, they're dead. So it was the exact same thing that we had spent all of our points for. But that's okay. And then, of course, my friend Talia, rules is written. She's like, nothing says the character can't help themselves in the next round. Because, of course, I am the group healer. The others have it, but you have to remove that crit or that person is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just you need to heal them. It's not like, spare the dying in D&D to get them to 0. It is you have to remove that crit. So she's like, well, you're right. DM looks up like, you're right. You know what? It does not say anywhere that they are incapacitated. They're just almost dead. So excellent. Well, we're in this horrible, horrible Sith temple. It's corrupted. We're fighting this horrible shadow monster, right? Dark using the Force, the first point of light side. If you roll your first points, you get 2 light, you get 2 dark. That first light side point is negated.
Right.
You can't use that first one. You have to So I roll to heal myself, and I do have an ability to take off a crit. I have to make a medicine check. Well, I'm real good at medicine. So I roll it, and I get 2 light side points, which means I can use one of those light side points for what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I played cleric heal thyself.
Always a good thing. You can't heal
Because
anyone if you're dead, so you have to keep yourself alive.
Right, and I have, literally, I have the ability to bring somebody back from death.
There you go.
Yes, I know the story of Darth Chaos the Wise.
Yep.
But I have that ability. I can't use it on myself now, can I?
Oh.
Nope.
So that's how I almost died 2 hours ago. 2.5, 3 hours ago. Yeah, 3 hours ago. So that's the big what I've been up to in game. Not dying, almost dying.
Thought about dying.
Thought about dying. Was too numb to realize I almost died in game.
Right.
And it was just it was just so weird. Because normally, if something bad happens in game, you have people kind of panicking and, all right, what can we do? What can we do? And all of us were like, did that really just
happen? Yeah. You're all kind of numb.
It was a very numbing moment. But no, didn't die. Yay.
Good job.
Yay.
It's mostly dead.
Mostly dead.
And she was. I had 1 hit point, and there's a chance the other players could have gotten her out of it, but it's literally okay, you have a trained surgeon as compared to a battlefield medic.
Gotcha.
In the middle of a battle.
Yep.
Because I have all the stuff that can negate stuff.
Since you're regaling us with combat stories, do you want to tell us your frustration of playing a rogue trying to shoot something with a bow?
No, it's fine. All right. So our Thursday D&D game has resumed, and it's literally a game we put on hold with our in-person game with our friend Mia. Dead Kenya is in it. Her husband Elkarth is in it. It's our in-person game, right? So I frustrate our friend Mia regularly because I play a swashbuckler rogue. I have a lot of fun things, plus 10 to stealth. My only magic item is Boots of Elven Kind, so that's advantage on that stealth, right? I have a decent hit. I'm a swashbuckler, which means I can get my sneak attack if I'm fighting with somebody. I can get my sneak attack if I'm fighting solo. And it frustrates her. So
She
much.
does a lot of damage.
I do a lot of damage.
A lot of damage.
I've never, I love her. She's somebody that decided I'm going to play D&D and I'm going to be the DM, right? So she's never it's actually quite fun playing with a DM that doesn't know the rules inside and outside, because you can't rules lawyer when the DM doesn't know the rules really well. It's great.
Yep.
And also obviously rules are done, level. It's not a different set of rules for the NPCs that is the PCs. It's always very level. But I frustrate her because, I can do 26 points of damage.
This
and
is
what have you.
level
And
7.
then
Yep.
I'm sorry?
Level 7
Yeah.
characters, just for
And then
everyone's clarification.
Yeah. And then disengage, and she can't, and not have to deal with attack of opportunity. So I frustrate her all the time. She finally figured out what my heal is. It's any time I can't attack with my light weapons. You give me a short bow, yes, I get a +7 on that, but that +7 doesn't do much against will-o-wisps. So yeah, I had an entire attack where I did not hit the entire game, which was entire battle. I did not hit the entire time, which was fine, because most of the time I hit real well. But it was very frustrating, because normally, I hit right and left. Sometimes I fail, but then I can use my second attack
To follow it up.
because I have two weapon fighting style. But guess what? you're not going to have a 2-weapon fighting style when you're fighting with the short bow.
Nope.
I guess I could have started
2-hand
throwing
crossbows,
daggers.
maybe?
Yeah, say.
Yeah.
Yeah. One-handed
Yeah.
crossbow and a sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're 15 feet up, so I couldn't have used the
sword.
And that was the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I could have thrown daggers, but that was the problem. So yeah, I had an entire battle where I killed the opening minion, or fought the opening minion. I got a real good hit on that, and then the remainder of the evening, I did not hit anything.
Yep.
I kind of made up for all the times that I've eviscerated stuff. It's fine.
To our benefit, though, that tree never got to go. The last time we
never
fought,
gotta go.
So the last time we fought a tree in that campaign was 3 years ago, and that tree kicked our ass. And so the joke is that tree kicked our ass so hard we stopped playing for 3 years. No, we stopped getting together for 3 years, mainly because of COVID and other stuff. But yeah, so
Yeah. And it was literally, and that night, the last time before COVID, we stopped for that. We fought will-o-wisp from the tree. So this was kind of, this was round 2, and we got that tree down in
1 round. It never got to go.
not even 1 round. Yeah, it did not even go. It's not quite as good as getting 2 sphinxes down in 6/10 of a round,
No.
but close.
But close. All right. So Mew, what have you been up to?
Let's see. As mentioned, I did spend some time on Risa yesterday. It was just a quiet night in general. Like it seemed like everyone online was just not online, or they were busy playing Diablo.
Diablo
That
4.
was it. Probably.
Yeah.
But Risa was packed. I was maybe it's just because it just started out, but like there were just so many people on Risa. And Risa is different from your typical STO areas. It is a ground combat, but I say combat with quotations because there's no combat in Risa.
Right.
It's a vacation world, and this is an event area that it's a very specific island, and it's surrounded, of course, by water. It's an island. So you can use your power boards, and power boards can only be used over water. So that's the only time. Like I don't remember how I got it, but I have the Back to the Future hoverboard.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, and I have that as a
Nice.
power board. And so yeah, there's events that use the power board. They also have these things called floaters, which is basically just a jetpack. So there's events with the jetpack where you fly around it and do stuff. But yeah, that's the extent of it. Like it's either that or you're running around looking for stuff. Like there's a hot or cold game essentially that uses your tricorder, and you're trying to find temporal artifacts on the island and turn them in. There's a biathlon where you start out on the power board and then you go in the floater and you have to float through rings and whatnot. And there's parrots everywhere. There's feathered monkeys running around. There's a dance contest, which I'm always amazed. For some reason, the dance contest, like everyone swarms in.
Oh yeah.
And the dance area is just packed with people and doing this dance. And it took me a while to figure it out because I don't typically use emotes in the game.
Right.
So it's just like
yeah.
they're like, yeah. So they're like, do this dance. Like how? Do this dance. How? Do this dance. How?
Right. Yeah.
I walk over to the instructor.
Instruction, please.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's just it. I went over to the dance instructor and he said, how do I join in this? Go ahead and do the dance she tells you to do. Okay. How?
Yeah, exactly.
So the dance is almost over, and I'm just digging around, and I finally come across this. You have to click on a settings wheel, open up, go up to emotes then opens up, and then you have your list of emotes. Like you can't type it out like
okay.
WoW and Final Fantasy. So
it's like Diablo 4. You have to use the wheel. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's a hidden menu. The only good thing is that you can at least pop it out. So
it's
now
like it's in its own window.
Yeah, so I can pop that out, and then you just click on whatever they tell you to do. It makes it a lot easier.
Good.
But yeah, it's just I don't know if it's just because it's easy, but like you literally just it's kind of like the Guild Wars 2 Halloween event where you're playing Simon Says with the what's his face, the Headless Horseman, where you just do what she tells you and you're done, and then you get points for that. But yeah, so I've already managed to just spending the evening there, and I wasn't like fully paying attention. Like it's an event area, like you don't have to pay full attention. There's nothing that's trying to kill you. So I'm able to do other things, and then when something pops up, I'll do that event. And I was actually able to earn enough to get the 3 items. So now I just essentially just have to log in, do one event a day, and then I'm done, because then that's how you get the progress for the big reward.
Right.
But yeah, no, I've been spending a lot more time in STO. I finally created a temporal officer, because I never did that, and it was during one of their recruitments. So that means you get a temporal officer. It's it's the TOS style, or the old scientists style, as Laura Dex calls it. Um, but yeah, that's an interesting way of doing it, because that character keeps all of that old stuff. Like,
Right.
you still have the old beam effect, you still have the old style view screen options when you're switching screens. Like, it's very interesting how they keep that aesthetic, even though you're now in the the future.
Right.
Future.
Future.
So somewhere in there. It's all kind
if
of
you
timey
can't
wimey.
deal with, I was gonna say, if you don't like time jump events or traveling in time or alternate universe type stuff, not for you.
This
But
is not for you.
Yeah,
No,
it's all over. It's just bleeding with time.
yeah, I think I got to the part where we were chasing. What is her name? Oh, I'm trying to. I can't even describe it now. But there's one where you're basically chasing an NPC, and you think you finally capture her, and then she escapes Starbase and goes back to her universe through a wormhole, and then you have to deal with the army coming back that way. And I apologize, I forget her name, but she's a really good villain, and it was fun. But it was dealing with, like, okay, well, that didn't work in this timeline. What if we changed the timeline? Like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things about the temporal officer is, now that they're in the regular game, things still pop up because you're a temporal officer. Like, a little, like, I detect something over here, and you walk up, and this little weird probe will pop up, and you have to do some kind of a crazy puzzle to figure it out and disable it, because you've found yet again where the temporal bad guys, I forget their name, starts with an N, the Nakul or something like that, but like. They're apparently still trying to muck with the timeline, so you basically find them in the regular missions, and you disable it, and then you continue on with the regular mission. But that's always been interesting, but yeah, it's been fun to go back. And I've kind of decided I'm gonna, with that character, I'm gonna go through all the regular content again, just to kind of get a refresher, because like, it's been so long since I did the original stuff, that it's like, I barely remember that. Oh yeah, I remember that time. And it's kind of interesting to go through it. It's like going through WoW Classic kind of. But this character is a lot better equipped, funnily enough, going through this time, because this character has access to really good ships that can basically just destroy everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got where'd it go? Oh yeah, so I got this ship. If you're watching on there, I got this ship with my temporal officer, and it just destroys everything.
Neat.
And then I got this other new one, which is from the Terran timeline, the Terran Empire dimension, which is you know how the Enterprise D will split in two. You have the saucer section and the battle section. This one splits in three. So
Nice.
So you've got a saucer section, and then you essentially have what looks like two different engine sections, but just because the ship has 4 nacelles, so you basically have 3 ships buzzing around and killing things. So, if Eve was this fun, I probably would have stuck around with it. But I don't know. Just probably part of it is with the iconic ships and whatnot. But
Right.
But that is the interesting thing, is always stumbling across the plethora of Star Trek stuff. Like, they have pretty much every ship in there, and it's kind of interesting how, like, it kind of is canon but not canon. Like, it uses canon. Like, the canon shows will not pull from the game. Like, the game will never dictate what happens in canon.
Right.
But it reflects canon. Yeah.
Aligned canon.
Yeah. That's just it. Is because they do some wacky stuff in there, and it's weird enough that Lower Decks is now canon. So
Yes.
Cool.
yeah, that's the interesting. I need to catch up. I have not watched any of Strange New World, but apparently the crossover with Lower Decks is happening on Strange New Worlds right now. So
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
we
it's
gotta watch both those because both those are supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yes. Chromie seems to have run amok over here as well.
Well, it's Chromie, so now she's just gone. Now they've just gone not only just time but now space. So
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yep.
It's,
And then
Goth Chromie, and now she's
or Morchi.
Morchi,
I
yeah.
think it's what,
Yep.
Morchi is what they're calling Goth Chromie.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been really interesting, and it's been so long since I've really played STO that it's been nice to just kind of dive in and kind of focus on that. It's been my distraction from the WoW rating.
Nice.
Which speaking of which, I have been WoW rating.
Good.
We are 7 of 9 as of last week.
Speaking of Star Trek.
Yes.
Yep. But yeah, we're working on the last two bosses, and that echo of
Neltharion.
Neltharion. I know him as Deathwing. I just don't. Neltharion is weird to call him.
Yeah.
Right.
But
It's also
Okay.
hard to say.
yeah, Neltharion. But yeah, that's a tough fight on like it's so funny that the way that the difficulty ramps. You go from the fifth, is it the fifth? No, the sixth boss being really hard. It's the guy it's on like a chessboard, and he's setting different parts on fire, and you're basically racing around trying to put out the fires while trying to burn him down, and basically you're dodging lots of fire flying everywhere. And then you jump down, and it's just the dragon that's swimming in the lava, and he's really kind of a pushover. And then you stumble back into the Echo of the Neltharion, and you're like, oh, okay, we're back up to a super high difficulty again.
Right.
And I hear that Sarkareth heroic is even harder than that. So we're probably going to be working on this for a little while. But we're seeing progression. Like we actually didn't. I think we got to 17% on the first night with Echo of Neltharion. So we may get it next week.
Rad.
And so. And then other than that, playing lots of Final Fantasy 16, it's been a very interesting story. You can tell it's made by the Final Fantasy 14 guys. It just it just has that DNA in it. But it's like it is an on rails experience, but it doesn't feel like it. Like it's weird. You can. Maybe it's because you can backtrack without it feeling like you're backtracking. Like they have teleportation, essentially, the fast travel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an interesting story. I'm looking forward to getting deeper into it. I think I'm level 16 or 17 at this point. But that's probably all I can say without spoilers of where I am. But that's it. Yeah, there's definitely lots of spoilers. I've gotten to the point where the first thing happens with the character getting abilities. So it's interesting how they're mixing that in, because it's a game about the dominance. It's the Garuda dominant and Titan dominant and Ifrit dominant and Phoenix dominant, and then you have Clive, and he's just throwing a wrench into the works, and it's interesting, and I'm kind of curious how they're going to go with that. In the real world, we went to Costco yesterday, so that's first big
That's an
Costco
adventure.
trip. Well, it's the first time since the pandemic, so it's like you go in there, and the place is packed, of course, because it's the weekend before 4th of July.
Right.
So everyone is stocking up on everything. So yeah, that was quite the adventure, and we found that they had birria taco meat in there, and I was like, oh, that was good stuff.
Nice.
That's something I discovered in my San Diego trip, was birria. So good. And then yesterday we also spent some time in the pool for the first time this summer. So
Nice.
yeah,
Very nice.
Intentionally getting wet instead of just walking outside and getting wet.
Right, which a whole different thing.
yeah. I mean, if you're going to be swimming in the air, you might as well swim in the water too. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it was so funny. The pool was hot, because of how hot it's been.
Right.
But after you've been in there for a while, then it actually starts to feel good, and then a storm came through and the temperature dropped, and then it felt really nice at that point. So it's like, oh, finally a little bit of relief. So it's actually only been 90 today, which has been amazing. It's been over 100 for like the last few weeks. So it's the first relief we've gotten in a long time.
That's great.
Yeah, we're heading into the 110 plus range for a week or so. So
Yeah, it's to the not happy part. And
well,
that's about the push in.
We're starting the monsoon engine because it has to get really hot here for a couple weeks to get that moisture drawn up from the Gulf of Mexico to kick the cycle in, and then we're good. But it needs
doesn't mean I have to like it.
No, I didn't say we had to like it, but it's science, baby. All right.
I know it's science, baby.
Yeah.
And what this means is, this now means I'm going to get up, look at the temperature, say,
go to the gym.
I guess we're gonna go to the gym instead of hiking.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. So I'll see different alerts on my watch about when you've gotten your rings.
Exactly. It'll still be obnoxiously early a lot of the times.
What is she doing?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh, or then there's Dankinia. Why are you working out at 10 p.m. at night?
Because she doesn't because she doesn't get up early in the morning like Heather does.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yeah. So, very cool.
What about you, Tits?
Yeah, what have you been up to?
So I got 2 other games Heather is in, but I'm also in them. So we got to do our. I don't remember. I don't think we did our Star Wars update last time. So we got to do our Star Wars game where we are on. I almost said Ryza. Good Lord.
Ryloth?
Ryleth, because we're on the Twilight Homeworld, and we are dealing with a group that is trying to take over a mine that the Twi'leks are miners in, and they're working for a Hutt who we have issues with, and the Hutt's trying to scare off the Twi'leks and then buy the mine out real cheap because no one's mining it. So we went in and got there just in time for the town where the miners are staying to get bombed, and then we had the whole discussion of, okay, let's figure out who's doing this. We had an idea of who's doing this, and we noticed 4 do you remember what races they were, Hev?
Mostly human.
There was a human, but there was also
oh my gosh. I'm not gonna check my notes.
Check your notes. No, anyway.
Oh my god, one moment why I check my notes, because guess what? I take notes.
It's the scorekeeper race, the ones that do the bounty hunting.
Those guys.
Yeah.
One
What are they called?
So
They
anyway,
start with an A.
we found out that they were holed up in a warehouse.
Aqualish.
An Aqualish, yeah. So we like, oh, okay, well, no problem. We'll sneak in, take care of them, find out who they're working for, all that stuff, just confirm our stuff. So we saw 2 of them starting to come out of the warehouse, and my character, we split the party because McCullough's character and our engineer went to go check on the Twi'leks in the mayor's office or the town center.
Basically, the I'm checking my notes.
Yeah, the
mining office.
The mining office.
No, not my.
Yeah. Anyway, where they basically, had a lot of the coordination going on, and then our friend Mills and Brian and myself decided we're going to go check the warehouse out. Brian's character's a sniper, so we basically just say, go find a rooftop and have fun, and he does. And then Mills and I are looking at the warehouse door, and we notice 2 people are about to come out. So Brian takes a shot at the control panel to try and bring down the door, trap them outside, and misses, but the ricochet basically knocked enough debris off because it was a slug thrower sniper rifle, just did enough damage to stun them temporarily, so Mills and I could get in, take them out, and then realize that there's 2 more inside. So Mills's character ran around the outside to one of the other entrances to check on them, and I'm looking and going, there's enough smoke and other stuff from the the bombs and the sunlight the way the sunlight's shining in, I can get through that open door because we heard we made some checks and stuff, and we heard that there was a guy on the inside with a grenade aimed at the door, and I'm like, yeah, I can get past him, no problem. So I made my distraction / stealth roll, and sure enough, slipped in the warehouse. And what's that?
I said he did.
Yeah. Got in and snuck past him, basically got behind him, and then tried and failed to intimidate them into just surrendering. By that time, Mills had intercepted one of the other guys that had escaped out the side door, took him out in an alley, and was coming back in. And so while I was trying to intimidate this person and failing, I was enough of a distraction that Mills' character could sneak up and wrap a garrote around the character, and then we could interrogate him. And while we were doing that, McCullough and our friend Dennis were trying to get a very large beam off of somebody's leg so that they could treat them and do all that. And you guys did that really successfully.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's really useful. So Twi'leks in this particular system, strength is their dump stat. But I'm the healer, and there was multiple people that were injured, so we just had to get one healed up so he could then help us with the others.
Yep. So we got all that figured out. Oh, they're in a camp that's over there. We need to head to that camp. There's 8 more in that camp that we have to go take care of, and that's where we ended that. We were headed to the camp to go take care of that group of 8. So
yeah, and I don't know about you, but I felt kind of guilty. They're like, here, we have money for you. I'm like, you don't need to give us, no, take our money. I'm like, I don't want to take your money.
No, exactly.
But Dims cost money, so I guess we'll have to accept that.
Yeah. So that's where we left that campaign. I half jokingly said we should just because my character's a force sensitive who's very good at being manipulative, both personally and very dexterous. I said we should just charge him to a game of sabacc, winner takes all, and if they lose, they leave. And but we're not going to do that. We'll figure out a plan of what to do. But it was a fun idea. I was like, that would be fun. And then in our Call of Cthulhu game, we wrapped up the space adventure game, got back to our other campaign, where we had just basically been spit out of a cave by the river that we escaped on, having left the Migo base in flames, and got spit out and basically walked into another hellscape where it's pouring rain, but in between lightning flashes, you see these dark, oily clouds rolling in, headed for the town like they've been summoned in. So we had to figure out how to get from where we were to the town to see if we could rescue anyone. And on the way, we crossed a couple farmhouses. One of the farmhouses, the father had fallen down into the basement and was trapped under a beam. So we were able to get him out to his daughter and get them to safety. And then we hit the next farmhouse, and that's where things got weird. There were basically children dancing around a cow that had been trussed up, and they were carving runes into the cow. And there's a farmer and his son that are sitting on their porch, basically shooting at the kids that are possessed to try and prevent whatever they're doing from happening. So we ended up resolving that situation. And then he was so scared, he's like, no, you get off my land right now. We're like, okay, we're leaving. y'all are on your own. We're leaving.
It was
just
there's a lot of
bad.
horror movie tropes in that.
And so we got to one of the houses outside on the outskirts of town that we had visited before to get information, and found out that things had really gone south here because the person that was there had told us, there are these gatherings that happen, in the woods out back, and they're always dancing in there, and, stuff goes on, but no one will come investigate it. So he wasn't there. And we're like, where'd he go? And then we followed the tracks in the mud to that clearing that he told us about, and basically found an altar and standing stones. And he had smashed 3 of the 6 with this huge sledgehammer, but was slumped over the altar, and there were just bodies of adult citizens that had been sacrificed. And we're like, so apparently he interrupted the ceremony, but they left him. They thought they killed him, left him alive. So we had enough to heal him so that he could pass on what he learned before he passed away, and then smash the rest of the standing stones. And that's kind of where we left it there. But yeah, it's just like our game master said, yeah, this chapter's where the final chapter, it's where the kid gloves come off. And we're like, kid gloves? Good Lord, we've been, struggling as it is. It's going to get worse. Thankfully, both the farmhouse situations and this gave us sanity back. It was like, okay, you get some sanity back, but also because the situation's so bizarre, you lose some sanity as well. So it was a trade-off, but net gain, we got more sanity back than we lost. So I think it was a success all around.
Some of us are at a max sanity.
Yes. Minus your Cthulhu mythos.
Minus my Cthulhu mythos, yes.
And that's my frustration. And I'm only frustrated, jokingly frustrated, because we keep running into these ruins, and my character is an archaeologist and has pictographs. And so he's like, I should be able to hopefully take a shot at translating the runes using my pictograph skill. But because it's a Cthulhu rune, you have to use your Cthulhu mythos roll. And it's like, mine's, I think right now at 4 out of 100. So unless I get stupidly lucky, it's not going to happen. So jokingly, I made rolls on the pictograph just to see what would happen. And I got a hard success and a normal success both times. I'm like, ah!
Oh yeah. No, I've always, I have the same issue because I tend to play characters that have really high occult skills, but
right. But it doesn't count because it's a separate thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The weird stuff. But honestly, it is a great thing to have, that Cthulhu mythos. But yeah, it eats away, because one of the actual play I listened to, their mage can't get above 50, at max sanity.
Yeah.
So you're at all times. Yeah, you've delved so into this dark stuff that your mind is fractured.
Yeah. So
you have a bad roll and you're screwed.
The way the game system works is your maximum sanity is 99. Your Cthulhu mythos, anytime you gain Cthulhu mythos, you subtract whatever you gained from the maximum amount of sanity you have. So if you get to a 50 in Cthulhu mythos, your maximum sanity that you could have at any one time is 49.
Yeah.
So yes, you can deal with it, but no, you can't deal with it. Eventually you're going to lose that battle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Which is kind of what makes it a really challenging game, because the more you know, you have all this knowledge. The more you know,
that's the problem.
Right. And it's also really fun because this is a game where sometimes, you have to make a knowledge roll and see if you can figure something out or know a piece of information. Yeah. But, however, actually more knowledge. So it's more int over education. Can you figure this out? Mm-hmm. But if you fail a sanity roll, you make an intelligence roll. And if you fail that intelligence roll, you understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Your mind doesn't protect you. And so at that point, then you risk temporary or permanent insanities.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's a cool system. It's there's trade-offs. It's a knife edge. Which, you figured it out, but your brain didn't protect you, and now you know more than you really wanted to know. So yeah. Which is definitely where I see my character going down, because he was actually able to translate a scroll and cast a spell, not realizing it, and contacted Cthulhu. Yeah, actually
literally contacted Cthulhu.
Survived the experience, and gained some Cthulhu mythos. But yeah, so I have successfully been able to translate some of this stuff before, working on it, not realizing what it did, and now he's got an idea of what it does, and now of course he wants to know more. So
yeah. I have a feeling if we survive this, your character and my character are going to go off to archaeological dig, just researching this stuff.
Oh yeah, because it's interesting, because our GM has a whole storyline of like, no, this predates, civilization. Like, there's stuff that they've found before, what we would consider a civilized time, of these, the existence of the Cthulhu mythos here, and to the point where like there's stuff high in the Andes, and we're like, well, how the frack did it get into the Andes if it's in the ocean? And then you do the geological time regression, and you figured out that no, they were there when when this place was actually next to the ocean and hadn't drifted tectonically on the plates. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, so it's been here a while.
Yeah. I'm having fun though, having dragged Tet into my favorite game system.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's very versatile.
It is.
Even if you're not good at something, you have a chance of doing it. And then you have a good chance of getting better at it. So, but it's a really neat, versatile system. I love it.
Yeah. I really like, so the Call of Cthulhu system is really good. The Star Wars system I'm really enjoying, because that definitely lets you flesh out your character, based on what you're doing and stuff like that. I also really like the system that Critical Role showed in their Obscura, the new podcast, where they're essentially doing like a Call of Cthulhu investigation in their podcast. And their system is really interesting, because it's basically a D6. You roll, and a 1 is a failure, a 2 or 1 to 2 is a failure, a 3 to 5 is a success with complications, and then a 6 is a success. And you get a number of dice, that based on your skills is how many dice you get to roll, plus other things in the system. But they've got a playtest document up on their site, but it's a real Candela Obscura is the podcast. It's really good.
I need to sit down and listen to
the podcast and the YouTube of the first episode came out last week. It's available on. How did we see it? Oh, it was available on Twitch. If you're a subscriber to Critical Role, you could see the video replay on Twitch. That's how I saw it early. So yeah. All right. But I think and then that was pen and paper, and then video games.
Yes.
Basically just Diablo 4. I finished the story. I'm still hanging around tier 1 because I'm doing all the little. I want to get all the dungeons, all the stuff. So I've got all the waypoints. I've got all the map exploration done. I've got all the strongholds done. I've got all the altars of Lilith done. What I have left are the dungeons and the side quests. I have all the dungeons done in Fractured Peak. I'm missing one quest in Fractured Peaks, and it's one of those, it drops off a mob or out of a container. I don't remember which one. I think it's either the Exorus cache or the there's another cache that drops off, but it's a higher chance from elite Khazra mobs for the one, and like there's one elite Khazra mob that consistently spawns. You kind of have to farm that if you want it. And I think it's that one because that one has a stupidly low drop rate. But now I'm having fun doing all the side quests in the dry steppes and going through the dungeons and getting all those. So I'm just kind of, I really have not felt compelled to. I went to tier 3, went to tier 2, did the capstone dungeon to unlock tier 3, went to tier 3, got the renown awards, and then went back to tier 1 just to goof around because I'm like, I'm not chasing Hell Tides and all this other stuff at endgame on this character. I want to wait till the season starts, and then I'm going to probably roll either a sorcerer or a necromancer for the seasonal play and see how that goes. But what I like is there's a ton to do in the game, but there's no compulsion that you have to do it at a certain level. Like, I'm not in a hurry to get to 100 because why? So I'm having fun taking it slowly. I think I'm at like 55 or 56 right now. So
Cool.
yeah. All right. Anything else from either of you two?
I think we babbled a lot.
All right.
Yep.
Well, that is our show tonight. While the chat room begins suggesting show titles, we want to thank us for joining us. Thank you, us.
Thank you, us. You're the best, us.
Yep.
All right. If you have questions or comments about our show, you can email us at podcast.aieguild.org@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter. The show is at AIE Podcast. I am at the Mew Cow. Makala is at Cyberwaif, and Tetsemi is at Ivory Tiger. We record live with video every other Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, although that may change in 2 weeks, so we do Saturday instead. But you can join the chat room and play along with us on our website. It's aie-guild.org/podcast-live-stream. And you can look for us on the Discord server, of course. It's the easiest way to find us. Go to aie-guild.org and click on the Discord server link there. It's the easiest way. For past episodes, however, you go to the YouTube channel. It is youtube.com/c/the AIE Podcast. Our theme was composed by the amazing Andrew Allen. Follow him at Keys with Soul and visit him on his website, andrewallenmusic.com.
Awesome. And now it's time to play all the 8 great AIE segments we received this week, including... Well, this is where we'd put our segments if we had any. As always, if you would like to try your hand at making a segment, let us know. Please send it to the AIE Podcast email address. We do say that we look for segments around 90 seconds, not 90 minutes length, but of course that's all negotiable.
All right. And next show will be, as we mentioned, Saturday, July 15th at the regular podcast time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Our guest is Anira, to talk about where psychology and gaming intersect. So, she and Gusty had a very interesting discussion about the no caps policy on AIE and how it affects civility in the game chat. So, should be some interesting information and some interesting discussion for that. So, until then, AIE, this is Tetsemi.
This is Mew Cow.
This is Makala.
And this has been the AIE Podcast. Yay!
Yay! Okay. Walls of D's. Don't jump. Mostly dead. Goth crummy. Science baby. Cthulhu called.
Yep. And just a reminder for those still in the chat room, Summer of Love is coming up, so watch out for the blog post and Discord, and we'll get more information as it's going forward.
We'll wrangle someone to come on and talk about it.
Yeah. And it won't be Kinney because she'll be gone, so.
Yes. All right.
Interesting show titles.
I think they're great.
No, I know. That's
A lot of them could definitely be combined.
I like. Can we do Cthulhu called Science, baby?
Yes, we can. What are your... Yes.
All right. Does that work
Science
for you?
until it isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Sema, Cthulhu, anything also gets my vote, to be honest. One of the groups I'm in, the Blue Ribbon Army always does a Halloween in July thing. And you have to it's a gift exchange and you have to make your list. And I swear half my list is Cthulhu stuff. Because I want it to be kind of spooky stuff based. The other is, hey, give me books about haunted things.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, chat
Awesome.
room. We will
Yes,
see you
thank you.
in 2
Bye,
weeks.
chat.
2
No,
weeks.
in 13 days.
All right, fine.
Except I will see you in a month because I'm actually doing a con in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Cool.
So, yep, doing the real life thing. So.
Yes,
Alrighty.
I'm telling people stuff.
How do we end this?
All right, bye, chat.
Bye.